Experiment Gardens Under Glass. The city of London, England, was very different 200 years ago. It was filled with smoky factories. The rain was filled with soot. Plants couldn't grow well in the dirty city air. Then someone made an amazing discovery. Dr. Nathaniel Ward loved plants and nature. He grew ferns in his London yard. A fern is a green, leafy plant. Ward was also interested in bugs. He kept samples of them in glass bottles. One day he filled a bottle with a moth cocoon and some soil. Then he sealed it. Somehow, Ward forgot the bottle. He found it months later. To his surprise, a fern was growing in it, and that fern looked healthier than the ones in his yard. Ward then built a large glass case. He filled it with ferns and sealed it. Then he sent it on a 6-month journey by sea. At the end of the journey, all the plants were alive and healthy. Ward wrote a book describing these gardens under glass. Wardian cases, as they were called, became very popular. People wanted them in their homes. The cases protected plants from the coal dust. They also protected plants from cold nighttime temperatures. For his own house, Ward designed a garden under glass. It had ferns, fish, a lizard, and a toad in it. These glass cases are still popular today. We call them terrariums. They are great indoor gardens. Here's how you can make one. You need clear glass jar with lid, small plants, pebbles or gravel for drainage, powdered charcoal to stop odors, clean potting soil, decorations like small rocks or toy animals, optional. Most of these things can be found at garden centers. If you can't find a large glass jar at home, look in the houseware department at a store. Plant list. Choose small plants that grow slowly. The plants shouldn't flower. They should grow in a medium light. Make sure the plants can fit in your jar. Here are some plants that should work. Aluminum plant, small ivies, small ferns, a ficus, peperomia, prayer plant. An odd number of plants usually looks best. Place the tallest plant in the middle. Directions. Wash your jar. Rinse it several times with plain water. Dry it completely. 2. Wash and drain the pebbles. Add ½ inch of pebbles to the jar. 3. Add a thin layer of powdered charcoal on top of the pebbles. 4. Now add 2 to 3 inches of potting soil on top of the charcoal. Make a small hole for each plant in the soil. Place the plants in the holes. Pat the soil around them. 5. Add the stones or toys if you would like. 6. Water until the soil is moist. Close the lid. Place the terrarium in a room. It should have medium sunlight. Water only when the soil feels dry. Many terrariums need to be watered only once a month. Number 1. Read the following selection from the section Directions. Water until the soil is moist. Close the lid. Place the terrarium in a room. It should have medium sunlight. Water only when the soil feels dry. Many terrariums need to be watered only once a month. Based on this selection, choose a statement that is true. A. Plants in a terrarium need to be watered frequently. That means often. B. Plants in a terrarium need a lot of soil to grow. C. Plants in a terrarium do not need much water. D. Plants in a terrarium need a warm room to grow. Number 2. Read the paragraph below from the introduction, paragraphs 1 through 6. Ward wrote a book describing these gardens under glass. Wardian cases, as they were called, became very popular. People wanted them in their homes. The cases protected plants from coal dust. They also protected plants from cold nighttime temperatures. For his own house, Ward designed a garden under glass. It had ferns, fish, a lizard, and a toad in it. What conclusion can the reader make based on this paragraph? A. Growing plants in London is challenging in the winter. B. Only ferns can be grown in a Wardian case. C. Plants do not need much water to survive in a Wardian case. D. Wardian cases protect plants from harmful elements. 3. Why did people want to buy Wardian cases? A. Because they helped people grow healthy plants. B. Because Dr. Ward's book became very popular. C. Because people could travel with them by sea. D. Because they protected people from the dust in the air. Number 4. How did pebbles affect the growth of healthy plants? A. They create a source of water for the plants to grow. B. They act as an additional soil for the plants to grow. C. They prevent excess water from building up in the terrarium. D. They prevent excess odor from building up in the terrarium.